My name is Michaela. Welcome to my brand new knitting podcast. I think it's going to be called Bucket List Knitting, although that could change. I'm not 100% set on it. But anyway, yeah, so I decided I wanted to start a podcast because I've been watching them for a long time. I've always really enjoyed watching podcasts. I've really loved getting to see what people are knitting, getting to be inspired by all the projects I see on other people's podcasts, as well as learning new tricks and constantly learning from podcasts. That being said, I know there's about 1 million knitting podcasts out there, so I don't necessarily expect to do this and get a ton of followers. I just kind of wanted to do it for fun. I thought it would be a really fun way for me to get involved in the community and to just kind of hold myself accountable with my projects to, just kind of keep up every couple weeks, check in and share my progress. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about creating videos. I don't really know a whole lot about editing, and I'm sure as I continue, things might improve. But to start off, I know this is probably going to be a little choppy and it might not be the best podcast, but I just thought it would be fun to try. So anyway, as I said, my name is Michaela. Just a little bit about myself. I'm living in Virginia currently, in Virginia Beach, and a lot of the year it's hot and it's hard to find the desire to knit because it's, hot and humid. But I grew up in New England. I actually grew up in Vermont, and I learned how to knit as a child from my mom. And, throughout my life, I've kind of had times where I was really into knitting and times where I wasn't that into it. And just kind of over the years, my interest has fluctuated for sure. But over the last couple years, I've been really into knitting and, just enjoy getting to create things and take a ball of yarn and make something you can actually wear. So yeah, I think I'm going to start by sharing, a segment that would be finished objects, but since this is my first podcast and you haven't seen any of my progress on past projects, I'll just show you a couple things that I've finished recently. So yeah, I'll jump right in. The first thing I guess I'll show you is going to be a baby blanket, which actually came out really big. It's like a child's blanket actually, but this is for a coworker who had a baby actually a while ago now, and I didn't finish it on time for the baby to be born, but we do live in Virginia Beach and it's really hot, so I don't know if he really would have needed it over the summer anyway. And hopefully now that it's fall, he's a little bigger and it's a big blanket, so it can go in his crib hopefully. And yeah. So anyway, I'll show you. It's kind of large, so I'm just going to show you maybe like half of it at a time. It's sort of got this like chevron pattern going on, where it goes from a dark gray to a light gray, and then you kind of switch to dark gray or light gray and then green, and so on and so forth. I could have done more of like an ombre and had colors that were a little bit closer to each other, but I didn't. And I wanted to pull up the name of this pattern. I have most of my other stuff ready to go. Oh yeah, this one is called the Garden House Baby Blanket by Jocelyn, Tunney. And it was a free pattern on Ravelry. So I just thought it was really cute and it was real simple. You actually knit each panel by itself. So you did the gray, light gray, dark gray panel, then you did the green and gray panel, and so on and so forth. And then you actually mattress stitched the panels together. It's a little bit time consuming to do that, especially considering how big this is. This is kind of a large baby blanket, but I think my gauge is super loose in general when I knit, and especially with this nice, like, soft, kind of stretchy acrylic. You know, I just got like a baby yarn. It was Yarn Bee, whatever their baby yarn is, that I got at Hobby Lobby. Just wanted it to be something that would be easy to machine wash and not have to do any special care with, because I know that's really hard when you have kids, and the girl that is receiving this for her son isn't a knitter, so, you know, it's, I think, a lot to ask sometimes when you give them a gift that they have to work really hard to take care of. So anyway, that's that. I'm proud that I finally finished it, because it's about time. But yeah, and then, so my most recent finished object is the exploration station. So this was definitely a knit that I needed to check off my bucket list. So that's part of the reason I chose that name for the podcast, because I feel like just in my life in general, I love to adventure, I love to travel. There's a lot of things I want to do and see in general, but definitely in knitting too. When I go through my Ravelry favorites list and my queue, I have patterns saved that I've been wanting to knit for years and just somehow haven't gotten to them yet. And so I kind of wanted to use this podcast as a way to keep up with checking all these patterns off my bucket list. So the exploration station I have been wanting to knit for so long. And I don't know what took me so long. I think I don't know. I think I just didn't have the right yarn, or I just didn't have, I don't know, the motivation. I'm not sure. But anyway, I ordered a pack of Madeline Tosh from, I think it was yarn.com, but it was kind of like a mystery pack of 4 colors, and they were all one of a kind. So you just ordered it and you didn't know what colors you were necessarily going to get, but I figured I would either use them for socks or for a shawl or whatever. And when I received them, I actually almost used them in a different shawl. There was a knit along recently that was a shawl that went along with the lunar phases of the moon. It was the Lunar Mystery Cowl. Can't remember what the name of the shawl ended up being, but I started that and I couldn't keep up with it and knitting it quickly enough to keep up with the mystery knit along, so I ended up frogging it completely, and I just really liked the way these colors happened to go together, and I decided I would just go ahead and cast on the exploration station since I've been wanting to knit it for so long. So like I said, these are one-of-a-kind colorways, so they don't actually have any names that I know of, but I do like the way it came out. The yarn definitely, I feel like it could have blocked out bigger. I don't have proper blocking mats, so I usually just lay stuff out on a towel, and it works well enough for things like hats and sweaters, but on something I really want to like aggressively block, I probably need to get blocking mats and pins. But you can see, let's see, the colors. There's this a light gray that it's getting a little blown out. I have a window right in front of me that I thought the natural light would be nice, but I don't know, it's kind of blowing colors out. But the light gray has like specks of like yellowish and like chartreuse in it. Then there's a dark gray, and it's just kind of a charcoaly gray, and then a nice like baby pink color. Again, really blown out, but. And then the 4th color was this like bright blue. Actually, I'll show you the border. So the blue almost has like bits of purple and pink and teal almost in it. So it was kind of fun the way the colors played together. They're all singles except for the blue. They're merino singles. The blue was a twist, maybe a 2 or 3 ply, I'm not sure. But they worked pretty well together. And I'm pretty happy with my 2-color brioche. This is my first time doing 2-color brioche, so I think it came out kind of cool. I think I did it right. I've done 1-color brioche, and I don't know, the two colors seemed kind of, I don't know, it's very loose. I guess the gauge is really loose because the needles are bigger than you would typically use with sock yarn. So, and then the slip stitch section, little stripey section, and then the chevron border. So I was really happy with it. I kind of liked just the way it came out. It's real cozy. I've been kind of wearing it around the house because it's just finally starting to get cold. And I'll just kind of drape it over my shoulders and call it good. So I apologize if the video is super low quality. As I'm watching myself, I noticed that it's like there's a slight delay from my voice to the video and my motions to the video. And when I play it back, it all plays just fine together, but when I'm watching it, it's like there's a slight delay, so it's just kind of throwing me off. And then also I noticed that just the video quality is not great, and so if I move around a lot, it might get kind of, I don't know, blurry for a second. So unfortunately, I'm one of those people that gestures a lot, and I feel like I move my face around and my head around when I talk a lot. So I'm trying to avoid that and trying to just kind of stay still so that I'm not jerking around and making a blurry video for you guys. So I apologize if it's not great. Let's see. So before I move into my whips, I'll talk about what I'm drinking because that's what podcasters do. So I'm drinking coffee. It's just a regular coffee. I have a Keurig, but I don't use the regular K-cups. I have like a little stainless steel reusable one. And I just put coffee grounds in that and brew it like a K-cup. And then I actually added to this, I have a coconut creamer. It's Laird's Superfoods coconut creamer, and it's the turmeric flavor. So it actually is like a powder of coconut milk and turmeric. And I added a little bit of cinnamon to this as well. So it's pretty good. It's a little bit cold now, but that's okay. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see the mug. My goal in life is to become the person my dog already thinks I am. Because, well, that should be everybody's goal in life. I love my dog, and I think he loves me as much as I love him. I don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with my dog. But I like to think that he thinks I'm awesome, and in life I should just try to be as awesome as he thinks I am. So, okay, let's see, where should I start? I have a few whips. Actually, I have quite a few, but I'm not going to show them all because some of them are ones I haven't really been actively working on. But so this one is my Sockhead hat. This was another bucket list knit. Just cast this on a week or two ago. I've been wanting to knit a Sockhead hat for a long time. I don't know, they just seem really cozy, and I like that it's a really thin, you know, fabric material, but it's still nice and warm. And I had this really pretty yarn. It's Forbidden, I don't know if you can see it, sparkly. It's Forbidden Wool Company, Forbidden Fiber Company, in their Ruby Falls color. And I had gotten this last year at one of my local yarn shops called the Yarn Club, and really just wanted something special for it because it was my first time knitting with sparkly yarn, and it's just such a pretty color. It's kind of just a nice, not variegated, but like a tonal. Actually, it almost is variegated. So on the brim, I just started knitting from the ball, and you can see you're getting like this pooling where it's almost striping around the brim, which I thought was fun. I didn't really know if I wanted it to do that the whole way up the hat though. So once I got to the regular stockinette section, I started alternating because I'm knitting from the center pole hand wound ball. So I just started alternating from the center and then from the outside strand, just doing one row each. And I kind of like the way that's making it just a nice tonal. There's not really a whole lot of striping, or maybe micro striping going on, but not a whole lot of like those pooling and big stripes. But I kind of like that I get a little bit of both. So yeah, not a whole lot to say about it. There is like a slight bit of like a seam along the back where I'm alternating the skeins. I don't know if you'll be able to really see. There's kind of like a seam down there, but doesn't really bother me. In fact, I almost kind of like it. I think it maybe adds a little bit if there's a bit of a seam that goes up the back, but probably most people that aren't knitters probably wouldn't even notice it anyway. So I'm not really sure how much farther I'm gonna go with this. Let's see. I haven't really tried it on yet. This is actually probably going to be my first time trying it on. And I assume I'll wear it with the brim folded. Yeah, so I still probably have a few more inches, or at least a couple more inches to go before I start decreasing, because I do want it to be a little bit slouchy. And I wonder what size I knit. I know there's also like different stitch counts depending on how baggy you want your hat to be. So I think I cast on, it says to cast on 144 or a multiple of 8. I want to say I did 128 stitches, maybe. Something like that, one of the smaller sizes, just because I was, I know I have a kind of a loose gauge. I know that sometimes hats that I knit, even when I'm swatch and my gauge seems right, once I make them and I wear them, they stretch out a little bit. They just kind of start to like get real floppy and droopy. And so I figured if this one stretches out a little bit, it'll be perfect. Once I block it, I'm sure I'll see what the finished size is really going to look like. So anyway, yeah, Sockhead hat. It's by Kelly McClure. And then, yeah, my nice sparkly Forbidden Wool Co. or Fiber Co. yarn. So, and then I'm really not storing it in anything super exciting. I don't have a great project bag collection, which is unfortunate because I know how to sew, I have a sewing machine, and my mom's actually a seamstress. She sews really cool bags. When she has time. Sometimes her work doesn't allow it because she's sewing things for other people. But anyway, I don't have a great selection of project bags, but this is just a Stitch Fix bag. I think I got, I don't know, I had Stitch Fix for like 3 months. I thought it would be fun, and I just realized I was spending money on clothes that I probably didn't need. But I think there was a pair of maybe Toms or something that I kept. And it's a handy little drawstring pouch. So my Sockhead hat is living in that. All right, so then, all right, this project is, it's kind of in timeout. It's been in timeout for a while. I started this to be a gift for my boyfriend. He's so knit-worthy. He loves it when I knit him socks and hats, and he has a sweater that I knit him, and when it's cold enough to wear any of these items, he wears them. He's awesome, you know, definitely knit-worthy. So I really wanted to make him something special last year for our anniversary. And I decided I was going to try to hand dye some yarn. And I also really wanted to do something with a sock blank because I hadn't ever knit anything with a sock blank before. So I really wanted to try it. And so I purchased a Knit Picks. I think it's just their Stroll sock blank, and I just dyed it with like just random colors and green and blue and some like black and stuff in there. It looked like a disaster, honestly. Like the sock blank itself, it's not pretty. It's not like one of those ones that it's almost like a piece of art before it's knit into anything. It's not at all, but that's okay. So anyway, so I started knitting the socks, and he likes his socks pretty tight. And he also has pretty small feet for a guy, which is nice for me. So I can knit him socks and not take quite as long. He's like a size maybe 7 in men's. He's got kind of small feet. Anyway, So I usually do a cast on of either 56 or 64 stitches because, like I said, he really does like them to be tight. And, you know, when you put them on, they have a bit of stretch. So I did a 2x2 rib along the top. And then I was really happy with all the little micro striping that's happening. I just thought that was really cool, the way they were coming out. And this sock blank that I purchased from Knit Picks was a double knit. So as I was knitting this sock, I had a whole nother strand that was essentially identical in colors. And so I was winding that into a ball so that when I cast on the second sock, it would pretty much match this, which is kind of cool. Anyway, and then I have partridge heel. I'm kind of a fan of the heel flap and gusset, because even though he's got smaller feet, you know, he's a guy, his feet are kind of wider, and I feel like this gives a little bit more depth in the heel for, you know, his wider part of his foot to fit. So anyway, I knit, and I was traveling. We had gone to the mountains, and we were doing this hike event that we helped with for a fundraiser, and I was not paying very good attention and counting, and I just knit the foot, I think, a little too short. I mean, that's pretty short. I wear size 7 women's, and I feel like this is like almost too small for my foot. So yeah, part of me thought I would just keep them for myself. It's past the anniversary. I didn't finish them in time to be a present for that. But they're even a little bit maybe too short for my foot. They're the right width, you know, they fit around my foot and everything just fine. But so I think now I'm almost ready to start. I'm on the second sock, and so I'm almost ready to start my heel flap and gusset. I think when I get to the end of the second sock, the new one, I think I'm gonna knit farther so that it's a little bit longer and will fit his foot better. And then I think what I'm gonna do is just take out the toe, like unravel it a little ways back and knit a little further and then do the toe again so that they'll be the right length, because I just want him to have them, even though it's been a long time coming and wasn't really in time for his anniversary or our anniversary. So, and I have plenty of sock blank left. So yeah, I think I'll just knit them a little further on the toes, and then whatever I have left from this I'll use in some scrappy projects probably. I might use them to try to make some shorty socks if I think I have enough, and then you know, maybe shorty socks with contrasting heels, cuffs, and toes. But if I don't think it's going to be enough, I have scrappy socks going on right now. I also have a scrappy crochet granny stripe blanket, and I could always knit like a couple of the little what are the little bird ornaments called? I can't think of what those are called, but the little bird ornaments that everybody, you know, is making for a while. So anyway, and this is living in try not to drop everything. I just made this project bag, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I just threw like some cotton, like washcloth yarn in there as the string, but it's like superhero fabric, which I think is cool. And then the inside is yellow polka dots. It's just a simple drawstring bag. It's convenient. I think I actually stored like makeup in this one time when I was traveling and then turned it into a project bag. And then not much to say about the needles. They're just double pointed. I typically knit socks on double pointed needles. I'm not a big fan of magic loop. Yeah, double pointed is kind of where it's at for me. But these are like maybe Knit Picks Sunstruck or whatever their little plain like brown wooden needles are. And then I think I got these on Knit Picks too. They're just these little like kind of rubbery, almost like those you used to be able to get a bracelet or like a keychain that was made out of that material. But they're nice for double pointed projects because you can kind of just slide them right over the tips of your needles, and it kind of keeps your project together. And even if you had bigger needles, it kind of stretches out since it's a little curly cube. Anyway, I kind of digress. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one away. Let's see. So I really need to probably get a better setup for all of this, but hey, this is my first podcast, so you guys are along for the ride. My favorite kind of adventure. Just kind of go with the flow. So I am knitting a pair of Pay It Forward mitts. It's by Locatelli. And oddly enough, I think this is the first pattern I've ever knit by her, which is weird. So I feel like I have probably every other pattern she's ever written is in my favorites list on Ravelry. But there's a sweater that I knit a while back that I kind of always, I think of as being a Hohi pattern, but I think it's actually Amy Miller. It was like Princess Fiona, I think was what it was called. So anyway, I'm only partway through one mitten, and I'm actually like not that far into it. I think I'm just starting the increases for the thumb, and I kind of wish I had a good picture of them. My pattern is printed out in black and white, so I don't know if you'd be able to see very much from it. I'm gonna look and see what I got. Yeah, and it's all wrinkled. I took this backpacking with me because sometimes I knit while I'm camping and backpacking because I don't know, that's what you do. And it poured on me the whole time. And so even though I had a pack cover and everything on and most of my stuff stayed pretty dry, this was in the top pocket of my backpacking pack and it just got water dripped in and whatever. So the pattern like was all wet. Whatever. It's fine. It'll dry. So they're just kind of these like lace. So I went ahead and yeah. So anyway, this is what I have so far, and again on double pointed needles. So I don't know if this is the best yarn for this pattern. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I have a feeling when I block them, the yarn's gonna kind of come to life and like even out, and the lace will look really pretty. But it's a really high twist yarn. It's a sock yarn. These are designed for fingering weight yarn. This is some yarn that I've had in my stash for a while. It's Wandering Wool Rock Creek sock in the colorway Emerald Isle. And I've had it in my stash for a while. I've kind of wanted to knit socks or something in it for a while, or a shawl. I already have a lot of things in this dark green color for some reason, because I guess I really am gravitated towards it. So anyway, I don't know. I thought mitts would be good. I don't have that many pairs of mittens that I've knit. But again, I'm about just in the beginning of the increases for the thumb. They have like this really long, cuff, which I think will be nice because it's a fingering weight, it's lacy, but with all that length, I'm sure they'll be nice and cozy and warm. But around here in Virginia Beach, winters aren't that rough, especially being from New England, living in Vermont and Maine, and I've even lived in like Montana and Alaska and places where it's much colder, and so here it's pretty mild. And so may have gotten a little soft since moving here, but it's definitely still quite mild compared to a lot of places. And this is also just living in a really random bag. We have the fresh market around here, and I have this nice little bag that you can use to buy like bulk nuts and candy and things like that. And it turned into a project bag. There's probably like peanut dust and stuff in here, so it's probably getting all over my project. But anyway, and then I think the last whip I'm going to show you is I think it's called the Fringed Benefits Shawl. And I'm going to try to find a good picture of it as well. I'm kind of bad about my patterns. I don't oftentimes print out like the big picture on the front because I just try to save paper. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. But it's like this nice kind of small shawl, and it has like a lacy like yarn over section in the middle and then fringe along the edge. So far it's a really simple construction. This is like a 1,000,000-inch long circular needle. This is a Knitter's Pride. I think there's like Knitter's Pride zings, the tips. It's interchangeable, and I had gotten this cord for I don't remember. I had a project I needed a really long cord for, but I actually still use it quite a bit because when you're knitting like the shawl or whatever, this is just all extra on the end and it just hangs out over here. Just have some extra. So anyway, this is it's a free pattern. It might be a free pattern on Ravelry. I won't give away too much just in case, but I just thought it was kind of a fun, funky, cool use of like some variegated yarn. Since you'll really get to see the variegation, but there will be some lace and fringe and stuff to kind of make it, you know, a little funky. Now this is also some yarn I had bought at my local yarn shop, the Yarn Club, and it's called, the pattern Fringe Benefits is by Afifa. I think I'm saying that right. No last name, but she's just Afifa on Ravelry, and I follow her on Instagram, and she always has such fun pictures, and her patterns are always really awesome. But then, yeah, so it's Woolen Boon Classic, hands down, is the colorway. So it's just kind of like a creamy color, and then it's got some like oranges and golds and blues, a little bit of maybe peachy color in there, so it's just kind of a fun, not super neutral, but not super crazy either. So, yeah. Oh, I was going to show you real quick. I won't say much about it. Before I move on. This project is living in an Ultrasil stuff sack that used to be storing something when I was camping or backpacking. It somehow turned into a project bag. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I was going to show you guys, but I won't say a whole lot about it, but this is my granny stripe blanket. This is what a lot of those scraps will be going into. So yeah, some of the ends I haven't trimmed. So I use like the magic knot, like fisherman's knot essentially, to attach my pieces to each other, and sometimes I don't trim the ends before I keep knitting. So sometimes I just have to go back and trim the ends. Now I did make this nice and wide. I think I tried to make it wide enough to fit across my bed, which is a queen size bed. So you won't be able to see the whole thing in one. This is it folded in half. Maybe it's not quite wide enough to go across my bed. I don't know. I have to lay it on it again and see. It's kind of one of those things where you start casting on and it's hard to tell how big it's really going to be. And there's like ways to estimate, but I don't know. I can only do so much math. But this was another pattern that I saw people knitting on these on podcasts, and I was like, I have to have one. And so I checked another thing off my bucket list, and I learned how to crochet, at least this stitch. I don't know how to do anything else crocheting really, but I was really happy to learn this because this is an awesome project too, to just like, you don't really have to think about it a whole lot. If you're, you know, watching a movie or whatever, you just go and you don't really have to count a whole lot. It's pretty intuitive, so it's been fun. Although I say that, and every so often, you know, I'll put 4 little things in a section instead of 3 or whatever. But I'm also not a perfectionist in my knitting. Some people I know will like rip things back or tink down and fix things, and I oftentimes, if it's not super noticeable, I just let it go. It really doesn't bother me if things aren't perfect. Yeah, I mean, I want things to look nice, but I don't know. there's only so much like stress you can put into knitting, because I mean, after all, you're just creating something. Yours is going to be a little bit different than the next person's, no matter what you do. So, and then yeah, my blanket is living. It's going to have to go in something bigger soon. But this is I think I ordered this on Knit Picks when I was ordering some stuff from them one time. Live the whip life. I love that. I don't know. And again, I just like these simple drawstring bags. I don't need anything fancy. Yeah, so the last thing I was going to talk about was just upcoming plans. I have quite a few things that are kind of in my queue that I have the yarn ready for. I have the pattern printed up, ready to go. But one of them, I think the next thing I cast on is going to be the Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry. I haven't knit anything by her yet either until now. This will be my first. And I don't have the well, I thought I had the pattern printed out, but it's not with the yarn apparently. And yeah, but I have it all ready to go. I'm just a little bit short on yarn. So I went to Goodwill, and I'm always wanting to see if I can find sweaters at Goodwill that are decent yarn, even if they're ugly sweaters, if it's nice yarn or a nice color or whatever. I just feel like for $5 you can get a basically sweater's quantity of yarn. And so I was at Goodwill looking for something totally different, and I saw this sweater, and it was like a maybe the Loft and Klein, Loft and Taylor, I don't know, something like that. But it's like a barber pole, like 2-ply, and it's coming out. I've tested gauge a couple times and knit up a couple swatches, and it's coming out pretty close to like a worsted weight. Of course, the pattern says to use, I think, US 9, and I think with my gauge I'm probably going to use an 8, and I might even size down with the 8 because my gauge is just always so loose. I don't know what I do. Anyway, but this is a 50% acrylic, 50% wool. So it's not 100% wool, or it's not merino necessarily. It's just 50% wool, 50% acrylic, but it's pretty soft. And it reminded me a lot of the Brooklyn Tweed, like newsprint. The yarn that Andrea Mowry knits it with, she uses a different color. But the newsprint is one of the colors in the yarn that she knits it with, and it just kind of reminded me of that like marled looking color. So the only problem is I didn't end up with quite enough yarn. So I measured out a small ball that was from like maybe just the collar of the cardigan, and it was like 100 yards. I weighed it and figured out how many ounces 100 yards was, or grams 100 yards was, and weighed the rest of it. And I think I have like maybe 880 yards total, and the sweater will probably take at least 1,000, if not more, depending on what size I just really decide to knit, and how my gauge does end up playing out. But so I think what I'm going to do, since it's not 100% merino or anything, it's not anything super fancy, I think I'll be able to find some similar yarn in weight and how it feels, even if it's not quite the same fiber content. I think I should be able to find something that's close enough in like a black or maybe like a super dark gray. And what I'll do is knit like the very bottom of the sweater and the bottom of the sleeves, you know, up to a certain point in that color, and then switch to this. Be nice to use all of this up on the sweater, but it's a bottom-up sweater. You know, if it was top down, I could just knit and knit until this is gone, and then just do whatever's left in a different contrast color. But since it's bottom up, I'll probably play it safe and do a little extra in the black or whatever color I go with, and then that way I know I have enough of this to finish the sweater. Yeah, so I think that'll be fun. I'm all about it. I mean, it's like, I love buying nice yarn, especially like nice new yarn. It always smells good and it's so soft, and this is like, you know, I need to wash for sure. Well, some of this is my hair. I need to wash for sure, and like, you know, I'm gonna let it soak, but for $5, that's so much better than spending $100 on a sweater's quantity of yarn. I mean, at least to do once in a while, and it was fun to tear apart the sweater and unravel the whole sweater. I don't know, I thought it was fun. So anyway, that's probably my next cast on. And then I also would like to knit another pair of not socks, but like slipper socks for my boyfriend Corey. He, you know, like I said, he's knit worthy, and I tried to knit him a pair last year and they came out too big. I might like shrink them down a little bit in the dryer, but the ones I knit him last year, they were like slipper socks and they were Christmas colored, which was fun because it was right, you know, at Christmas time, so he could wear them on Christmas Day and everything. But I think I want to knit him a pair that's just, you know, everyday wear kind of colors. So yeah, and that I think will do it for today. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast, whoever watches this. If nobody, that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's just really, like I said, this is for me to just hold myself accountable, to share my progress from, you know, probably not every week, but every maybe 2 weeks, and just show what I've finished. And I think it's good for me to start to, you know, have to articulate what I'm doing when I'm knitting, because I think it'll help me remember things better. Like sometimes I learn how to do a certain cast on and then I don't use it again for a while and I totally forget and have to look it up again. So I think when I maybe share some of this stuff with you guys, it'll, you know, maybe stay fresher in my memory. And yeah, I just want to be able to appreciate all the things I create and get to share it with other people that really appreciate it too. So I'm going to try to list all of the information about all the patterns that I talked about and the yarns and things like that. I'll try to link to all my project pages or the project pages for the pattern. And yeah, I think that is everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Oh, I guess I should say where you can find me. So I'm on Ravelry as Micka Jane, MICAJAYNE, and then I'm on Instagram as Micka Jane. Yeah, same thing. And that's pretty much all. I'm not really anywhere else. I don't go on Twitter. I don't really go on any of the other social media platforms. It's pretty much Ravelry and Instagram. So that's where you can find me. All right. Well, I'm going to head out, and I hope to see y'all next time.